Okay. Okay. So this is NK Investments. No, this is not NK Investments. This is so this is episode one of the Wealthy Legacy Journey. And basically, we want to take some time to talk about what we're doing in our journey and kind of where we've been, where we're going, and really just hoping to bring some value to people. So this is Nathan,
Hey
and
guys.
he's done some awesome stuff. And I'm gonna let him kick it off by just talking about like who he is, what his journey has been to get to where he's at, like kind of what that journey looked like. What is your wealthy legacy journey look like up to this point?
Yeah, so I guess just kind of make it as brief as possible. Is basically, I started working when I was like 16, and the feeling of providing for myself was just a feeling that I remember back then. So I just kept working. I was in retail for many years. Had a family when I was young. Went through the phases of trying to climb the corporate ladder, trying to move up, all those different things, and finally got to a place in 2016 when I got into real estate and didn't really have any clue on what it was going to be building wealth wise or legacy wise. I was just thinking this is the next step. And it took a couple of years until I realized, like, oh wow, this is like bigger than just trying to provide for this generation, but this is about something bigger. And really, it was a few years ago we started investing, and we just got over these last few years investing really heavy and learning a lot of different things. And we're just at a place now where we're really just building for long term, and what does that look like, and how to give back, and who to give back, and what kind of impact we're making. So it's not so much about, oh, we're just trying to make it in the day in day out, but this is about like building for future, and just impacting and making ripples. So we've done a lot of investing. Our main thing is just buying properties, acquiring, and then selling them. That can be through flip strategies. That can be through wholesaling, which is just a lot of just basic type touch ups, or it could be land. Trying to find land, and we buy lots, and we pick up a lot of different lots where we get them. Where people are wanting a cash offer, we hold them for a little bit, and then we sell them on the market. And so, yeah, that's kind of a brief
Yeah.
intro to it, hopefully.
Yeah, no, I think that's good. So, like, one place that I feel like Nathan's excelled that I struggle with, I'm Kendall, by the way, and is like the dedication. Like, when you hear Nathan's journey, he started in real estate, he went from realtor to then flipping houses, and then flipped lots and lots of houses, and then did a little bit of land development,
Yeah.
and still kept flipping houses, and then started buying land, but kept flipping houses, kept buying land. Like, that was his path. My path has been a little bit less dedicated to a single thing. I've kind of bounced around a little bit more. And so, whereas Nathan's like built up a really cool company with what he's done, I've been a little bit more of a nomad, maybe you could say, and basically, push a few different ideas up into the six figure, kind of level. And so I've done a lot of flips with Nathan. That's how kind of where I started too. So I'm married. I've got three awesome kiddos, and actually my youngest is 2 months. And so whenever me and Libby first got married, I was working a job for somebody that always wanted to be an entrepreneur, and did the Amway thing for like half a second, but that didn't go very long. And and then I heard about this thing called wholesaling, and like the big thing is, and I think they talk about it all the time still, is like using other people's money, using other people's money. And I was fascinated. I thought I had just stumbled upon a gold mine, but really, I'm just kind of doing what like everybody's been doing for a long time. And so yeah, through that process, I met a bunch of cool people. Ended up getting my first flip in the hood. It was a pretty sketchy part of town, and I bit off way more than I could chew in the first flip. But we got it done and made like, gosh, I think I made maybe like 5 grand. That was actually a funny deal because there was like 300 or 400 square feet that nobody realized, like, wasn't on the tax roll. Even the wholesaler didn't realize it was there. And as we're flipping this house, like, I think it was when I bought the floors, I was like, there's no way, like, there's way more house here than I bought. And like, that's what set me over the edge. I would have been upside down the house, probably like 25 grand if it hadn't been for that bonus square footage. And then right after that, when I was feeling real crappy, and I was like, well, the flips aren't for me because this sucks. then I got into doing the multi-room like rental thing, and that was kind of neat, but it was a lot of work, and I didn't have enough capital to really scale it. I just had one house, and it was like 45 minutes away from my house. And so the guys that were there, because it was like renting out some college guys, they're really good dudes. But every time I have to go out there to work on it, it was like, gosh, it just did not make any sense for me to have that. And so I had done flips, I had this multi-room like rental thing going. Neither of them were like that successful. And then somehow along the way, we ended up connecting. And I GC'd a deal for you, two deals. And the first one was crazy. So the first deal that I GC'd for Nathan, it was like 600 square foot, 2-1. And I kid you not, he probably gave me like $5,000 in 6 days to flip this house. It was the fastest flip I've ever done. But I needed the money, and I was like, you know what? We'll figure it out. I think we ended up getting it done like 10 days, and we just went a little bit over budget. And looking back, that's incredible for a flip. But yeah, and because we did, I want to say we tiled. I think we did some tile work. I know we closed up a window on that deal.
Yeah,
And it was stucco. I think it was the only house I've ever done with stucco. That's terrible. Stay away from stucco houses unless you just know what you're doing. Yeah. Yeah, it was day of pictures. We're over there like trying to drill through the stucco to put in these like plastic shutters, and it kept burning through my bits. I'm like, what the heck? Later on, learning that stucco is basically just concrete, and I needed a hammer drill, and oh, that was good. But then it was the second deal that we did. This was over in Fort Worth, and I don't know how much we're going to talk about numbers, but I'm going to talk about numbers a little bit on that deal. I remember doing that flip. I had a little more time that time. I think my budget was like 18 grand, and I had 3 weeks, and so I wasn't going to lose my sanity on this one. We finished that deal. I had a contractor get really upset at me on that deal actually, and ended up pouring concrete down one of the drains, and I had to tear that out and fix that. But that's a story for another time. But I remember at the end of that deal, when it closed, Nathan cleared 60 grand. And that's when I was like, everything changed. I think that was a light bulb moment for you too. Like, I remember that, like when you were trying to figure out like what was the next step, like I remember that was a big deal. And after that, it was like, yeah, I mean, expand on it more.
Well, and just to add to that, so that was I think probably our seventh flip at the time. And we had done a couple different partnerships, a couple different strategies, but that was actually right past COVID. So that was when the original COVID came out. I think it was in 20.
No, I remember it came out. COVID started basically right when we were finishing up. Because I remember we were like, are we going to be able to drive? Like, because people were talking about lockdowns. That was weird.
It's crazy. And so, but what was great about it is we saw what the market was doing. So like there was a period of time, about 5 months, where we had bought flips, done some flips, and then we realized like, wait a minute, what's the market going to do? And it was an interesting time, and we had contracted that one. And what's great about that property was we contracted it, and it was like it took an extra like month and a half with the situation. And then on top of it, the wholesaler didn't want to even know that they were selling it because they knew the seller. So they actually gave us like $10,000. It was the weirdest thing ever. They just said, hey, do you want to buy it for 10,000 less? Because they don't want the seller to be mad. It's a crazy situation. But yeah, that was a 3112 Gunnison, I remember. And I remember even doing a video in the house and explaining the numbers on Facebook, maybe that was what, 3 years ago, I guess. And but no, that was an eye-opener for us to realize like there was even things that we had to learn, and there were mistakes that were made and all these different things that we weren't really, I call it, we weren't experts. We were still trying to figure this out. And but to be able to clear that amount was that eye-opener of like, wait a minute.
Maybe one of the easier pool properties you ever had to deal with too.
And that was probably the only pool property that we've not had to go and spend thousands to fix and deal with. So that was actually a wonderful, wonderful property. The backyard was amazing. Had a cool add-on, and and they did an amazing job. I mean, so it worked out pretty well, I think.
Well, yeah, but I remember after that, whenever I figured out like how much was made on that deal, I was like, okay. And it was like the rehab was so much easier on it too. And so I walked away from that realizing like, okay, there's deals out there with margin, and there are houses that aren't just like, man, you almost should just tear this thing down and restart. Like there are houses out there that don't need a ton of majors. And finding out since that the majors aren't so bad if you have the right contractors lined up. But yeah, and so we did that flip, and then I'm just going to fast forward a little bit forward. From there, we did flips together. We did one land development deal, and then I kind of was growing a different direction at that point, and I actually went and joined the ClickFunnels community and was getting more into like business mindset and stuff like that. Which, if you don't know Russell Brunson, ClickFunnels community, like really cool community to check out. He's all about like online funnels and all this kind of stuff and sales flows and some really interesting stuff. And through that, I was trying to start up this one company in real estate, and it didn't really work out. But the lessons that I learned through trying to do that were invaluable, and they still serve me today. Then fast forward a little bit after that, I told you I've jumped around. I'm a little bit of a nomad, and I did some. There's these two guys, Aaron and Carson, which we'll probably have them on to talk about what they do at some point. They do some really cool stuff with equitable interest and selling that with land. And so I did that with them for a few months and was really successful with that. And then kind of right at the end of trying to start the other company, My Home Option, and then before I jumped in the land deals, my dad actually has a computer background, technical coding background. And we started looking into, and he had done trading when I was younger, like on the stock market. And so we looked at what would it look like to build an algorithmic trader to basically code a computer to be able to trade the stock market for us. And I thought it would a project that would take maybe 3 months. Here we are almost 2 years later, trying to get it there. We were actually really close on that project. And then we've circled back around. We have a new baby company that maybe just is started up. By the time this podcast comes out, we'll probably have a legal entity developed for it, NK Investments. And we're going back into kind of the real estate, but land, maybe some land development, land investing kind of side of things. And that's a huge part of what we're going to even talk about. Like as we're walking through this wealthy legacy journey, is like maybe we'll interview some people, but even like what does it look like to take this idea from ground zero to a fully built out idea? Maybe we can walk you, if we get to the point where we sell the company, like wherever this journey, wherever this wealthy legacy journey step goes for us, like you're going to be here with us. And then same for like Ambition Group. I know you're going to be walking with Nathan through what that looks like as we're getting the algorithmic trader up off the ground, talking about what that looked like to get to this point, what that looks like going forward, and the different steps that we go through. But yeah, do you want to talk a little bit about the mindset that we're going into like NK Investments behind, and kind of the mindset behind like building legacy wealth?
Yeah, so I think one of the biggest things that we've seen over these last few years is how to take something that you have knowledge with and apply it. And so we kind of, when we think about flips, or when most people think about flips, they think about the TV shows, and they think about how it's all this just wonderful, like, oh, this looks horrible and we're going to make it look great.
And then 30 minutes later, it's done.
It's sold. And it's really not that simple, but you can create a process that becomes like that. And as you gain more knowledge and you gain more understanding, you start realizing there's so many opportunities. And so for us, we've been extremely blessed to have this thing just kind of running. And we have an amazing team. Like the team is, I wouldn't trade them for anybody. And we don't all necessarily have this education or this experience, but it's all about how to just work towards a common goal, right? And so in saying that, over these past 6 months to a year, we've had a lot of different changes in the market. If you guys know real estate, y'all know the economy, what it's going on right now. We definitely had rates go up. It's kind of changed some strategy in how we do our business, and you have to pivot some. And so in saying that, we've seen that there's a lot of opportunities to where once again, we take our knowledge. And when I think about mindset, I think about it's kind of just on a simple scale. If you do something and you do it well, and it's in an industry, whatever industry that is, if you're a cart pusher for a grocery store, just using that example, because one day I will go back to pushing carts. I've already made that commitment. But if you do that, then you're realizing how much you're using your muscle, you're using customer service skills, and that can be applied in so many ways. And so the mindset is, if we have this knowledge and we see every day what the market's doing, we see what's on the market, we see how to acquire properties. And so when we see all that and take all that knowledge and then be able to say, hey, how can we now start buying these types of properties and really go after these in a different way? So right now with the mindset, we're looking at how do we basically, in a way, we're virtually buying properties, and then finding motivated sellers through that virtual aspect. Now, we're not just going to go and buy a property. When a lot of times you hear virtual, you think, oh, maybe you're going to go buy one in another state and you're never going to look at it and then you're going to wholesale it. That's not necessarily what we're doing. We're basically buying virtually based off of what we know the property looks like. And then we're going to actually close on it. Our intentions is to actually, honor our word in closing, and then basically decide from there, what do we want to do with this?
Right.
And that could be as simple as cleaning stuff out and selling it, replatting. It could just be as simple as getting a survey for something that, maybe, multiple lots. It could be so many different facets, but it all kind of revolves around this idea of digging. And the more we dig and the more we see an opportunity, then we can, if somebody values their property at 100 grand and they're happy with $100,000, and we're saying, hey, we're going to come in and offer you maybe 95, then we might see the value in what we're going to do as far as digging, splitting it up, or what may be there. But it expands into something so much bigger. And this is ultimately to build something bigger than what we're trying to do, like I said, on the day in and day out. So, yeah.
Well, I think something important to talk about, and you may even see it, it's hot in here right now. But I think that's actually important to mention and to note is that we're actually inside of an RV.
Oh, yeah.
And it was 76 degrees before we started this video. And then we kicked off the AC, which is right above us because it's really loud. And something I really wanted to make note of in this is that we have no intro. We have no outro. We are getting our business entity still put together. By the time this episode comes out, it'll probably be put together. We're in an RV with no air conditioning right now. And I think that the point to make with all of this is that the best way forward, and I think we see this in K Investments, you see this whenever, we've done the land investment deal, different things you've done in Ambition Group. Even I had no idea what I was doing when we started programming the bot. And since then, I've learned Python, taught myself different skills and aspects, but you just have to take that step forward. And so without having to overthink it, without having to do all of the fancy things. And so that's even where we have NK Investments. We have this framework that Nathan just talked about. And it's an awesome framework, an idea to start with. But it's a very loose framework that we've been talking about over the last few days. Is we're kind of getting things up off the ground of, should we pivot? Should we twist a little bit? And that doesn't mean that you want to completely go a different direction. That's something that I've learned as a nomad, is that whenever one of the things that I'm really bad about doing is burning the boats whenever I land on a new shore. So I can't go back. And then I try to trudge forward on a new terrain. And something I've seen Nathan do really well is, instead of doing that, it's just making these small pivots into different aspects of the marketplace to be able to conquer those. And so that's a skill set I hope to learn a little bit better through Nathan. But one of the places that I have the ability is, number one, working with people directly. That's one of the things I enjoy doing really well. And then also just taking an idea or a vision that somebody has for something and being able to put it into a system. Like, I'm a very systematic, not to say Nathan's not, but that's something that I bring to the table, is putting something into a system so it can be, replicated and kind of done well. So yeah, but I think we're excited to take y'all through this journey with us. We want to have people join us on this journey, be able to share what's happening. What is the Lord doing in our lives? What does it look like, what is the legacy steps that we're doing each week? If we talk about this big thing that, I'm building up a legacy, or what was this big move that I did to build up wealth? It's just this journey. When we were actually thinking about a name, what do we call this thing? Because we both felt like this thing of, we wanted to talk, we wanted to be able to share what we've learned in the past 5-10 years. Me 5 years of entrepreneurship. I think Nathan's a few more years than me. And when we thought about a name, that's why we landed on the Wealthy Legacy Journey. is because it really is a journey. And when I even think about that, like I think about, some of the transitions I've even had to make personally lately as with our third kid and think about what's best for my wife and my family. Sometimes you have to take a detour and sometimes you have to take those off ramps, but that means you can still have the opportunity to get back on the next on ramp. And so yeah, I guess with that, you guys are going to be here with us to the twists and turns, the off ramps, the on ramps, the detours, and what goes well, and all the things that don't go well. Um, but we're gonna, I think our goal in this, and that's why I even talk about how it's hot in here and no intro, no outro. We're not all that in a butter biscuit. Like by no means do we have this all figured out, and we don't want to come across as if we know it all, or as if we've got it all figured out, or as if we have like all of these fancy systems in the world put together and we're some multi-million dollar company and we're going to try to sell something. And no, it's like none of that. I think it's really just like we've had some really cool opportunities and doors that open to allow us to get to this point. And now we like, I know, especially I've learned, I think you've seen this lesson is like sometimes you learn the best by then putting your arm back down and grabbing the next person in line and pulling them up. And so our goal really is to take what we've learned and like help other people kind of climb this entrepreneur wealth building journey. And then as we transition even into that legacy mindset, like helping people, this is a part of our legacy. It's a part of our belief system. And so, that's really why we're here. But yeah.
Yeah, and to add on that, I was thinking as we were considering doing this and how we would do it, not really having all the answers and everything. I just thought like there's so many, especially in the real estate community, there's so many podcasts, there's so many different, I guess you can call it teaching, but we joke about the gurus of real estate.
Right.
A lot of us do. There's so many gurus, especially right now. There's so many people teaching these lessons, and hey, come pay $5,000 or $10,000 for this course. There's nothing wrong with that. If you find value in it, great. But I think for my thoughts on this and just where my heart is just thinking like he said, like we want this to be, and it's an open platform. It's like we don't have it all figured out. And to be honest, we didn't have this super mentor teaching us. When I think about what I learned, it was through a lot of just humble men in real estate that I just kind of learned from and saw, and I would just observe kind of from afar away. But I never was able to really go to a class, learn all these different tips and tricks. It's just learn the simple basics. And, I've even seen where Kendall will just replicate something when he sees it works. And that's what makes it so great is we want to be able to share that, but then at the same time, help you guys. And then it needs to pay it forward. Right? I think at the end of the day, when I think about people that get into real estate and they're successful, that the key is helping somebody else, and then they need to help somebody else because so many people right now want to get into real estate. Right. I can think of all these people. We joke, me and the guy that kind of runs the entity we're running right now, that everybody wants to be a flipper. There's just this common thing, and everybody.
It is not what they make it look like on
it. It is not. And
kind of sucks actually.
Yeah. But the thing is everybody wants to do that, and there is a desire to want to be able to have that financial freedom, and
that's where it's
and there's so many companies that talk about financial freedom, and I believe that you've got to be able to take action. I think when she said that, I was like, that's the key. Make a step forward, even if it means that you buy your first rental, even if it means you go and flip a couch to start your flipping journey. Flip something small. Maybe you don't do a house. Maybe you don't.
Who does that? There's some guy who does that.
So there's actually, I know a guy that started doing it, I think with his daughter, and that just was awesome when I saw that.
Yeah.
But there's a good guy that talks about financials that he was actually, I think he went on the news and talked about somebody flipping couches as well. But just an example, you could do anything. You just have to understand the concept. Right. Buy lower, buy something that may be distressed and fix it up, and then sell it to somebody who finds more value in it now that you've done the work and fix it up.
Right.
And that's the kind of stuff that we'll talk about. Like, what are the actual true visuals of how a flip looks?
Yeah.
What are the true visuals of what we're doing with the MLS? How can we bring in people as well to help come into this journey with us, and maybe we work together on different things? Like, there's so many opportunities, and I believe that in this in this time, we have all kinds of opportunities. And if you have a closed mindset,
Right.
you'll be limited on what those opportunities are. So
Yeah.
I'm excited. I think it's going to be great. I don't, Kendall and I will like, I don't know what this looks like. It's not going to be
No
formal.
idea.
Like, I don't know what the sound's going to look like. I don't know what this. And we
I
don't
don't think
have
we're
it.
even going to edit this video, actually.
Yeah,
We're
probably
just
not.
going to upload it.
Because we want you guys to be in the room like you guys would be in the room.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, if we had 10 of you are watching or one of you is watching, if you guys were with us, we would want it to be just
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, exactly.
We want you guys talking back to us as well. So
yeah. I think about summarize it though. I have a bunch of other things that I could go on, but we really want to keep these at about 20 minutes each episode. So like for you guys, just hear kind of what is our basic framework that we're set. We actually like settled on what the name was going to be 5 seconds before we started this video. We had been talking about it for about a solid week, but we settled on it. We started, and our goal was, can we keep these videos about 20 minutes? Make it like a podcast and a video. That was more Nathan saying he wanted to have a video aspect as well. And so we went with that. We want to keep it about 20 minutes. And I think most weeks are going to be hopefully more organized as we're talking about what we did that week and kind of what our journey looks like. But then also we really, have a lot of investor contacts that we want to bring in and have talk with us and share with you guys. And so, yeah, I mean, I guess I would say if I was going to ask anything out of the gate, it would be let us know what you guys want to hear. And then if there's anybody that you feel like could benefit who's trying to like walk this wealth of legacy journey, whether at the beginning or in the middle or near the end even, who are some people that can come on and join us in this journey? Who are people that we can connect with? And I mean, that's pretty much it for me. I'm excited.
Yeah. And just to add one more person in that, and I just think right now there's a lot of discouragement. Companies are going bankrupt. Maybe you have a company right now, whoever's watching this, and maybe you're thinking about, hey, I need to get out of this and do something completely different. For that discouraged person, I would say that is somebody that's like, wait a minute, let's just kind of step 3 steps back together. Even if we can help you in whatever way, and just really look at it as maybe you're doing something right, but it just needs a little bit of a pivot.
Right.
And how can we help you in that? So
yeah. Or maybe somebody we know could help. We might be able to connect. Like we know lots of cool people who do a lot of cool things, not just real estate.
Right.
And so like if we can connect you with the right people, I think it'd be outstanding. So
well, I look forward to many more, and I look forward to you guys and feedback when we get it, and just how to do this together. So this will be exciting.
So. Yeah. Episode 1 done.
Yes.
Let's see.